Hello, I'm Maria Bernier from the Connecticut State Library. We're here to talk about the Experiencing America discussion sets and learn from experts who have run some book groups. Today, we're hearing from Elizabeth Lane and Rachel Tonucci from the Bloomfield Public Library about their social justice book group. Elizabeth, what would you like to tell us?
Hi. Thank you, Maria. We are excited to be here to talk about this very important topic, something that at Bloomfield Public Library we take very seriously, and that is social justice. And the book discussion series is just one part of that larger initiative. And I wanted to start by talking a little bit about how we got to here. So essentially in Bloomfield, we just started. We didn't have a roadmap. We didn't have a guidebook. We kind of just knew this was important, and we went to the things that we knew we wanted to do. And that was the foundation of where we went. As we started doing things, we documented them. We documented the little things. We documented the big things. And we were, I think, Rachel, you would agree, kind of surprised at when we started documenting them, that we were doing more than what we thought. Mm-hmm. So I think the libraries out there who don't think they're doing enough, I think it's a good time to be reflective and to start being intentional so that you're able to see that you probably already have a foundation for doing this work in-house. So the reason why you want to do this is because we need to serve everybody in our communities, and libraries need to be relevant. The more relevant you are, the more the public will know about you and will take part in what you're doing. And, as a library director, a big part of my job is making sure that we get what we need in order to do our work, which is tax dollars. And if we want tax dollars to be appropriated our way, we need to make sure that we're serving everybody in our community, not just the people that are easy to serve, which we all know what that means in library speak. The people who just come to libraries, they've been coming their whole lives. They feel very comfortable in our spaces already. We need to think outside that. We need to think about the people who are not coming. And that is a big part of this work as well. So after we started with that document of the things that we were already doing, we started to notice some patterns. And that was something that helped lead into us creating a social justice mission statement to support the work. That mission statement, I think the first iteration was in January 2021. We've since updated it, since then. The key part being that it wasn't perfect. It's still not perfect, but we wanted to have something. And if you wait for this work to be perfect, you're never going to do anything. And are we going to make mistakes? Yes. Are you going to accidentally put your foot in your mouth because you don't know? Yes. That's part of the learning process. And part of going through that learning process is a little bit of a humbling of ourselves. And if you demonstrate your learning process, it helps people in our community and on staff also feel that they can be vulnerable when having these discussions. So our social justice mission statement was put on record to sum up the larger vision of what we were trying to do. And this was after we went and got some external help. We interviewed a couple of organizations doing this work professionally so that we can learn from them. And we ended up choosing NCCJ, which I always get the acronym wrong. Rachel, what's the acronym?
The National Conference for Community and Justice.
Yes, respectfully. And they helped form the foundation of what we in Bloomfield were going to focus on. And those things were, as reading from the social justice mission statement, we hope this work will improve the BPL experience for all residents with special attention focused on addressing racism, sexism, ageism, heterosexism, genderism, classism, religionism, sizeism, ableism, and socioeconomics, with the awareness that many barriers people are facing are intersectional in nature. So we did that. We put the social justice mission statement out there. And I forgot to note one thing, that we were doing this work, and I had one specific counselor from Bloomfield who was interested in social justice. And that's kind of how we even got the idea to start documenting it. I said, you know, I want her to formally know what we are doing. And so it was kind of in those emails that formed the foundation for this social justice mission statement. The second part of that was our strategic plan. And I want to just point out that our strategic plan is not 60 pages. It's not 40 pages. It's 2 pages. And I know some directors cringe when I say this, but it was so that everyone in our community could understand what we're doing. So it's 1 page, and then the back page is our goals, which are 4. And we knew that we wanted to be intentional on our strategic plan as a way for us to know what we're doing and our public to know what we're doing, but also as a way, if there were people in the community who felt that tax dollars shouldn't be going this way, it's documented in a formal document that our library board has approved. And a library for everyone is goal number 2, with a focus on excellence across the 3 locations serving all ages. And the first bullet point is to identify and address barriers to access with a specific focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and social justice. While we were all doing this work too, we were very intentional about getting stakeholders on board. So it wasn't just me, it wasn't just the staff, it wasn't just the board, it wasn't just counselors who were interested, it wasn't just our friends. It was a lot of little conversations explaining to people who might not understand why we were doing this, why we needed to do this. But our most important group starting out was our staff. Staff needed to understand why we were going to use the DEI social justice lens with everything we were doing. And so when we brought NCCJ on board, they held a formal all-staff training. We had many all-staff trainings before that and since then. And the staff training was done with a committee approach. Rachel and I were 2 members of that committee, and we had other staff members as well. And when I tell you that staff was all over the board with their understanding of what this meant, it was all over the place, and that's okay. You need to encourage people to, you know, we're not always going to be experts on things. And this came up, and many conversations happened outside of the staff trainings. And I think many conversations happened at home at the dinner table with people being, guess what we talked about at work today? And working through it. That's how these things, that's how you grow personally and as a staff, because everything is interconnected. All of these things that we're talking about is interconnected. And, you know, making people feel comfortable was, you know, part of this as well. Empowering staff to do the work, attend the programs, making time to do this from the top was really important. And really doing something like this starts with one idea, and then you keep moving. So this social justice book club was one of those ideas. And it might not catch on at first, but over time it does. So don't be disheartened if your first foray has 0 people attend. It was enough that people saw what book you were recommending on social media and in your library on display. You're heightening these things to be important to both your library and your community.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Rachel, is there anything else you'd like to add about the formation of the Social Justice Book Club and staff support for the Racial Justice and Social Justice Initiative that's been happening at Bloomfield Public Library?
I did want to just show really briefly how we started out with those staff conversations, because this might be something people want to do. So we just kind of internally came up with a little survey about people's identities, because that's something that's probably easiest for people to talk about, is how they grew up, you know, how they became aware of themselves. And that's kind of a good, you know, first step to take if you're really not sure how to start the work. Becoming self-aware is part of that. So we had a little survey that we gave out, and then we just asked them a little bit about how they identify. And then we broke up into small groups and talked about it. And they absolutely loved that and wanted more. So that might be something that people could do as a way to start either their book group with themselves or with those conversations with staff.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. You've both been fabulous resources for us. I'd like to thank you for your time so much with this recording. Much appreciated. We'll catch you again on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.